it's Erin with Time Saving Templates, and today I'm going to go over a question that keeps popping up, mostly because it's the start of a new year. And if you have bought and used any of the spreadsheet templates that we have at Time Saving Template, a common question that I'm hearing is, how do I start over for a new year when you're using a template that is set to hold 1 year at a time? So most of the templates that we have are made for holding 1 year at a time. However, there are a few exceptions to that. There are a few templates that are set to hold more than 1 year. And there's also a workaround that we can do. If you have a template that is set for 1 year at a time and you want to change that so you have multiple years in it, there's a little workaround we can do. For example, this is a monthly sales and expenses template for someone selling on a website with Stripe, PayPal, Etsy, Amazon, and it's set up with a report for each month. So as you go into a second year, well, first let me show you how to actually start over new each year. So if you are just getting the template, what I usually recommend is save a blank version of the template. That way it's easier to come back to at the start of a new year. So you can save as many versions as you need to of the templates that you get here from Time Saving Templates. You just go to File, Save As, Browse, choose a folder you want to save to, and then you're going to come to the file name and edit it to whatever you want. And that's just an example of saving an extra blank version. If you want to come back to that, that's what I'd usually recommend right when you get the template. If you haven't done that, you might be working on a file that already has a year's worth of data in it. Say you had 2020 data in this file. You're going to want to save that to specify that the year that you have data in the file for. So you're going to want to add the 2020 to the end, or whichever year you're working on. And then from there, you would click into the different pages or tabs where you've actually entered the information. So it's going to be different depending on which template you're using. This also applies with the landlord template. The management fee template is an upgraded version of the landlord. So it's the same idea. They have, the months here. You'd want to save a different version for each year, and then you'd come in and delete where you've entered the details. So the way that you can tell what you can delete when you're trying to blank out the file is, I have the cells with formulas in gray, and they typically come by default protected. So you're not going to be able to delete those if you tried. So you're just going to make sure you're not highlighting any gray columns. Highlight everything and then click the delete key. That's how I would recommend it. I know I have no data in here, but just for the example, that's how you would do it. I would not recommend highlighting rows. I would not recommend highlighting rows in the template and right click and doing delete, because you're going to then end up deleting this formula. So you would run into that on any of the templates. And keep in mind, a lot of times there's formulas to the far right. So you're not able to delete those either. They need to be there for the next year to work. You would just highlight the data and click the delete key. You wouldn't be able to delete anything in the summary pages because it's all formulas. But once you delete your data, that'll zero out. So that's how it would work in the monthly sales and expenses. And if you're using it for rental properties, same here. You would just delete everything that you've entered except for the gray columns. And then that should update your summaries back to 0. So that's how you would get another copy for the new year. And then be sure to do another file, save as, browse, and then be sure to save that as a blank version so you don't have to do it again next year. So moving on to the example of multiple years. Let's see. I had a couple other templates I was trying to show the same scenario. So really it doesn't matter which template you have. If you want to update the year, it's going to be the same process. Say that you want to have multiple years in one file. If you're just starting your business and you want to see say you had a lot of expenses for starting up and you're still want to track when you've officially crossed that balance of now you're making more income than original expenses that you had invested. So what you could do then is, if you already have data, say from last year, and you want to keep that data in and add next year's data to it, just so you can take a look at this profit loss number and see, like, over the years, when did you cross over from loss to profit? You would keep your 2020 data in the file and save a 2020 version, because you're going to need just the year by itself for your tax information. So after you save everything, the year's done, you have all your data entered, because you don't want to enter data in two separate files. That would be a nightmare. After you're done with everything that needs to be entered, save a copy, make sure you save it with the year, and then you're going to save another copy and just label it running total, or you could put 2020 through 2021. And then from there, and I know I have blank information in here, but just pretend that it's filled out with 2020 information. So you would keep your 2020 information and you would continue adding your expenses and your sales for the next year. And you could continue doing that for as many years as you wanted to. It's just going to keep a grand running total of everything. This template's not set up to show like a breakdown per year. So if you are looking for a breakdown per year, I have some other templates that would work better for that, but it's more of the property management that's been a question for. So we have a rental analysis return on investment template that'll look at 5 years. One more way I want to show you how to track multiple years in one file, and this is just if it's not important to see the amount per year, but you're just wanting to see the grand total, over the years. How much have you invested? How much have you earned back over the years? You would do the same thing with this template. You would just save a copy. But one way you could do it with the landlord, so the landlord template is set up to track a lot of different properties. So I have versions starting at 5 properties, and I have one that goes up to 110 properties in one file. A lot of people just have 1 or 2 or 3 properties. Well, a lot of people also have multiple properties too. But if it's important to you to have all the years in one file, and you only have one property, or you have a few different properties, you could save one file for each property, and then you can just name each property is the year. So let me do an example, because that sounded kind of confusing. Say that I wanted to start tracking in 2019, and it's going to show a dollar sign, or not a dollar sign, it's showing that as currency. So I can change that. Just go to Format Cells and General. So I would put all of 2019 into Rental 1, and I could even change the label at the bottom. So each tab, instead of representing a property, each tab can represent its own year. So then it's not as important to save different versions, because you'll get that separation per year. And you could go as many years. I mean, we have a 40 property version if you want to do this for 40 years. We have 5 property versions too if you want to just do 5 years. I think you get the idea, like each page will be a year, but it's all one property if that's how you want to track your rental income and expenses. And then that way you still get the monthly breakdown and the total for the year. In the summary page, it would then show the year. After you name those property names, it'll show the year. And then you'll see your total income, your total expenses, and the total profit loss per year. And you can also scroll to the end and see the grand total with all years combined profit loss. So I hope that little workaround helps if you're looking to keep everything in one file. And this landlord template can be adapted for small business as well if you're tracking, other types of income and other types of expenses. We also have income source tracking. That one will also have expenses as well as different income sources. So if you like that setup of the different tabs and pages, and you want to change each tab to a year for a small business, you can use that income source tracking as well. That's adapted from the landlord, but that can be used for clients or project. So I hope that helps you get started with using your templates for the next year and kind of transitioning over, closing last year's information and then getting started on the new year. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment, or if you'd like, we also have some free resources at timesavingtemplates.com/free resources. So you can check out, there's some free templates you can look at as well there. And I hope that helps. Until next time, don't forget that I'm here to help you streamline and save time when it comes to using Excel spreadsheets.